Welcome back, ETF investors. Today we are doing a breakdown on the returns of the YieldMax weekly dividend ETFs. For those of you that don't know, I split all these off separately into their own ETF providers so we can track what weekly dividend ETFs are making the most money. Now, I will say last week, YieldMax underperformed Roundhill by quite a bit, but I think it might be a comeback week for YieldMax. First of all, we have ULTY and YMAX paying out some phenomenal distributions and growing in price, but there's a third winner for YieldMax that I think you guys are going to be surprised about. So we're going to get into the full video breakdown. But first, if you guys are interested in weekly dividends, in income investing, you are in the right spot. Don't forget to like the video and to subscribe so you never miss future updates and find out what income ETFs are making people the most money. Let's roll that intro. I do want to mention, if you could give me some feedback on the sound in this video, that would be amazing. This is my first video with the new microphone. I was having some audio issues, and this mic is significantly nicer. So I am excited to hear what you guys have to say. Hopefully it is good, and if not, I'll have to tweak it because I'm sure it's user error. Now, what we're looking at is my entire weekly dividend ETF account. We're not covering all of these today, just the YieldMax funds. We're also seeing a lot of red. This unrealized profit or loss category that's showing a lot of them in the red is not accounting for the dividends or distributions that have been paid out, because most of these, I will say, are in the green, which is phenomenal. What we're going to do, we're going to look at each individual ETF very quickly. We're going to cover two things: the dividend yield and the AUM. The dividend yield is trailing 12 months, so it's going to be based off of the last 12 months, not just the dividends paid out so far, which I'll touch on in just a moment. And then our AUM, which is assets under management. And what this shows is how popular the fund is. Volume can be another indicator of this, but AUM is the amount of money people are investing into these ETFs. And so when we're tracking the AUM, if it falls substantially or grows substantially, it's usually a good or bad sign, depending on what you're looking for. Of course, if it's growing, that's typically a good sign. So we're going to start by talking about ticker CHPY, a really interesting fund by YieldMax. This weekly payer has definitely caught my eye. With CHPY, we have a lower AUM of about 16 million. For reference, some of them go all the way up to 800 million. So that is pretty low. And the dividend yield of 6.83%. But that is the trailing 12 months. And what that means is we've only had a few months of dividends, so it's significantly diluting the yield. When we look at the last couple of dividends, we can see it's paid 38.5 cents, 34.5 cents, 40 cents, and 40.5 cents. So the distributions are pretty solid. They're pretty large, which if you haven't seen any of these updated videos before, we'll be able to compare when we look at some of the other ETFs. Some of them pay as low as 8 cents from one by Roundhill, and some get up into the 70 or 80 cents like LFGY that we're going to look at in just a moment. But CHPY is the YieldMax Semiconductor Portfolio Option Income ETF, and it's a really interesting one for me if you are a fan of semiconductors and you think that the industry is going to grow nicely. We've seen a lot of volatility, which is pumping out some nice, juicy dividends, which I love to see. But let's jump into our next ETF. GPTY was not my favorite when it launched. It was very expensive, about $50 a share, and it fell immediately into the 30s over a few weeks span. But I will say it's climbing back out of that hole. This one was red in the account the entire time, and I think just last week we pushed into the green for the first time, which is amazing. It's a little bit bigger than some of the others at almost 27 million, and a dividend yield of 12.4%. Now, I will have the tickers up on the screen for you guys, glowing a little bit, so they're a little easier to stand out because I know it's hard to see everything on Moomoo. But we can see we had 29 cents in dividends, then we had 29 cents again, and then we had 29, almost 30 cents, and then we had 30, almost 31 cents. So the distributions have been consistent, they have been solid, and I think it just took GPTY some time to catch its footing. This is the AI and Tech Portfolio Option Income ETF, by the way. It's different than the others, but I do like AI and Tech in the long run, and I think there's a lot of volatility in both of those sectors, particularly with AI. But the dividends have been sweet. The upward movement has been phenomenal as well. I mean, look at this. This thing ran from 37 up to 47. So if you invested at the right time, you could even be up on your initial investment, which is not the goal of these funds. They are income ETFs. So very excited, and I'm really curious to see how GPTY does over the next 6 months and AI and Tech as a whole. Let's jump into one of the highest paying ETFs yet, ticker LFGY. The chart is not pretty, but I promise the distributions are. This thing, I bought it at almost $53. It's trading for $38.75. So quite a fall, but it is climbing itself out of that hole as well, similar to GPTY. The AUM is also growing substantially. It is 135 million. Now, this and GPTY both launched at the same time. So you can see this one has over 100 million more assets under management, meaning people like this one more, or at least investors are holding more of it. The dividend yield is substantially higher as well at 29.09%. I believe this is one of the highest payers, which I love. I'm happy about it. I do need the price to come back a little bit. It even fell a little bit more in the recent months, and it hasn't had the bounce back that GPTY has, but I do like that it is paying so substantially. It's just crazy how much it pays. 49 cents, 49 cents, 46.5 cents, and 47 cents. At one point, it was paying even more than this, 75 cents, and I believe it even got into the 80s at one point, but that was some time ago. The thing is, it is paying consistently high, and I like that for those that are focused on income. If it could just trade sideways, I would own this thing all day and make those absolutely crazy good dividends. But only time will tell if it can keep up these high yields and not lose a lot of money for investors through NAV erosion. Let's check out our next ETF. Real quick, I do want to mention that I have finished the weekly dividend ETF cheat sheet. This has all of them on there. I believe there's 30 at this point. We have a bunch of good information on here for you guys. Yield, trailing 12 months, provider, inception date, the pay day, like what day of the week they're paying, so you can track your distributions, and the number of dividends or distributions, whichever you prefer. So it is free. Hopefully by this point, I'll have it linked down below for those that are interested. So check it out. If it's not, I'll put it in the comments that it's not up yet, but this video will be going live tomorrow, which I'm filming it on Sunday, and I'm hoping to have everything set up so you guys can get access to this, and I will be updating it. It's going to be updated probably monthly. It is definitely a time commitment, but I'll try to keep it consistent for you guys, and I'm really happy with it. I'm very happy with it. I think it's really helpful, and I've already been using it to answer questions in my comments about what pays, how much, how long it's been paying, when it started paying, and all those good details. So check the comments below if you want this. Again, it's completely free for you guys. For the support. Thank you so much. One of the most green in the account on price appreciation alone is QDTY. Now, I bought this at a really good time just from luck. It was not skill-based. I simply bought it for the account a little bit after it was trading. I bought SDTY on launch, and that's why it's fallen so heavily. But QDTY and RDTY, I had to wait for some money to transfer over, and so it took a little longer, and that ended up saving me quite a bit of money. Lower AUM of 8.5 million, dividend yield of 11%, and last couple distributions have been pretty solid. 32.5 cents, 31 cents, 23 cents, a real low one then, and then 25.7 cents. Not great, but this goes to show how crazy it is how much LFGY is paying. In some instances, almost double some of the other weekly payers, which is why it's so popular. Now, QDTY is newer, so we're going to have to give it some more time to see how well it's going to perform, but I do like it so far. But again, part of that is because I just got lucky when I bought it. RDTY is an interesting one. Again, I did pretty good on the price return just because I bought it at a lucky time, and it's bounced up. But the trend is a little bit weird. The AUM is low, 4.5 million, really low, and the dividend yield is 10.76%. I'm not a big fan of this one. I feel like RDTY and RDTE have both underperformed, so they're not my favorite. In fact, I did sell out of RDTE in my Roth, and I will say that I'm open with what I do with my trades, and I just wasn't happy with it. I put more into the better weekly payers. So we can see it paid out 35 cents, which was solid, then down to 21 cents, 30 cents again, and 32.5 cents. So the dividends are really good. I will say this is impressing me, but let's see the total return at the end when I show the dividend tracking spreadsheet, and that'll really showcase what these are capable of. SDTY is only doing poorly because of my purchase date of early on when it came out. It dropped early February, and I mean, by dropped, I mean it came onto the market and then it dropped. This thing went from over $50 to under 40 and then has bounced back up to 43. The dividends are pretty good, which we'll look at, and the AUM 15.17 million. Again, all of these are pretty small. We're going to look at a few at the end here, ULTY specifically, where the AUMs are very large, and that just shows the popularity. Again, dividend yield of 10.31%, so probably a little bit less than RDTY. We had 27 cents, 26 cents, 22 cents, and 22.5 cents. So yes, less in dividends. The price has been tough. SDTY just isn't my favorite. I'm not sure if it's just less implied volatility with the S&P 500, if it's been trading more consistently. Who knows? But the dividends haven't been solid, but we will give this one some more time to mature. I have to mention, if you guys haven't checked out the ETF Guys podcast, I am a big fan. Now, I am a part of it, so that might be why, but it is myself and Marcos Mia, another ETF YouTuber. He focuses on growth, and we break down a bunch of different concepts. Our first video did really, really well. It actually shows 11,000 views, 100K in MSTY versus 100K into VOO. A really fun video. Marcos is a phenomenal, hardworking investor with a really good channel. So check him out. Go check out the ETF Guys. Thank you for all the love on the first episode, and let's get back into it. ULTY is one of my favorites, and let me tell you, it has been blowing up lately. The AUM currently sits at 557 million. It was 223 million, I think 3 episodes ago or something like that, and that's how crazy it's been. Now, the dividend yield, 131%, is not as accurate. It's closer to, last I checked, 75 to 80%. I have a full video I just put out about ULTY for those that are interested in why I'm so hyped up with this weekly payer. And it breaks down the change that happened right here. And so what happened here is it started to go weekly, and they changed a bigger factor in what is impacting the better return is they changed their strategy completely. And we can see it did take a dip. The market took a dip, but it is now climbing back up, and the dividends have been amazing. So check out that video at the end, but let's finish out this one first. You can see volume has been going through the roof as well. We have last couple of distributions. We had almost 10 cents, almost 9.5 cents, 9.5 cents, and then 9.5 cents again. So it's been consistent. I know that sounds low because a lot of these are paying 50 cents at some point, but this thing is $6 a share. And what that means is you can compound like a maniac, because every time you get paid a dividend, you funnel that money right back in, and it just keeps growing, keep getting you more shares, and then you get more dividends and more shares. And I just love to see it. This is the cheapest weekly payer that we have by far. Some go all the way up to being $100 per share. So ULTY, absolutely amazing. Yeah, I am a little biased. I did buy more of this a couple weeks ago. So let me know what you think in the comments, and let's check out 2 of the most popular YieldMax ETFs. YMAG and YMAX were going head to head at the beginning of this challenge, both performing really well, and they were fighting for the first place spot. Since then, YMAX has pulled ahead, but YMAG might be making a comeback. So we can see the AUM, 345 million, a little bit lower now than ULTY, which is crazy. Not even a little bit lower, over 100 million in AUM difference. Dividend yield is 50.4%, which is pretty close to accurate. It has been paying out for over a year, but not over a year weekly. Now, we can also see last couple of distributions. We saw some volume picking up. The chart has fallen from 16 down to sub 15, which I don't like, but the payments have been good. We had 26 cents, 29 cents, 21 cents, and then 17 cents. So this last payment wasn't great, actually, which is surprising. I was hoping they would have a really solid one, but maybe this next one will kick out even higher. I'm hopeful, but let's jump into YMAX. It's pretty crazy how similar the charts look. YMAX surpassed 900 million AUM. That is amazing. Wow. Dividend yield, 62%. Chart similar to YMAG, very close, but still a little bit ugly. Last couple of distributions, we had 18.5 cents, we had 21.5 cents, 17 cents, and 18 cents. So the dividends have fallen off a little bit, but I'm really curious as to what you guys are feeling about these ones. Are we still holding them tried and true? I do have both of these in my Roth IRA, I will say, and I've been impressed with the returns so far now that they are climbing themselves out of this dip. But I do need them to go back to the mid 17s to 18s to really make some good profit on the price alone, or to stay consistent if they are going to trade in this 13 to 15 range and just keep the high distributions up, which again, I would be happy with, but consistency is key because I cannot stand NAV erosion whatsoever. So we're going to jump into our YieldMax tracking spreadsheet and see which of these funds are making the most money for all ETF investors. All of our weekly dividend data. So even though YMAG and YMAX have been paying less than they used to, we have a lot of shares because it did get cheaper, and you're able to buy more shares because it is cheaper now than it was when it was sitting in the $20 range. Although it's a bummer for those that held for a long time like me, they are making a comeback. So we can see YMAG paid $1.05, very solid, very consistent. YMAX paid $1.17, even better. but these have been paying over $1, which is hard for a lot of the other ones to say. LFGY is close, 94 cents. This one has paid a lot in dividends. But I will say we had drip on for YMAG and YMAX. Initially, it was $100 into each, but I dripped YMAG and YMAX and ULTY because they were the only ones that were able to on Moomoo. Now, I'm very impressed with their returns, and now that they are paying well over $1 each, it is because of that extra income that started. So we'll see how they end up performing long term, but I am going to start to average down some of my other positions and might even buy more LFGY since it is doing pretty well now, and even GPTY. Let me know in the comments which one should I buy more of, and let's keep moving. GPTY 61 cents, slowly moving up, which I love to see. SDTY 45 cents, not a great dividend, but can't really complain. RDTY 61 cents, QDTY 51 cents, and CHPY 81 cents. Now, CHPY might be one that is getting slept on quite a bit. Not only is the AUM low, 14.8 million or something like that, but it's also paying heavily. Like, we're getting a lot of money out for our $100 investment. ULTY, $1.67, phenomenal. I want it to jump back up a little more and keep paying those 9 to 10 cent dividends each and not fall off into the 8 cent range, because if we see NAV erosion or we see that come down, it would be a bummer, but it really does all depend on the implied volatility. And if you don't know about ULTY switch, the video that I'll link at the end of this one is going to be a key determining factor in if you're interested in owning this one or not. Now, we did make $7.82 this week in dividends, which is amazing. It's not the highest we've seen, but it is pretty solid. I'm hoping that number keeps rising, and with dividend reinvestment, I'm sure that it will. I'm very, very impressed overall with these weekly payers. So now we're going to look at the positions tab and see exactly how much money we put into each of these, as well as the number of shares we hold currently. For those that are interested in these spreadsheets, I'm trying to get them up on my website soon for purchase. I love them. I really do. But I do want some feedback from you guys on what you would change. I am in contact with the guy that made them, so we definitely can fix some things up. Almost everything was sitting nice at an even number of shares, except for the ones we had drip on. So I'm going to slide all the way to the side, and we're looking at our total return. Let me shrink myself down just so you guys can see a little better. And we have YMAG being positive by nearly 11%. YMAX positive by 13.4%. LFGY still in the red, but climbing, like I stated, 2.8% down. We have GPTY now 7% in the green. It's rocketing back up, and it's looking like a solid weekly payer. SDTY, again, climbing back out of a hole, down 2.57%. RDTY is up 10.3%. QDTY is up 19.52%, the best performer in the account, but not by much. CHPY was in the red a couple of months ago and is now at 11.8%. Love to see it. And our best performer, ULTY. 19.44% return. Absolutely amazing. Now, I will say I bought ULTY when it converted from monthly to weekly. So this is that return since that day, and it has made all the difference. So sliding all the way to the side, we can actually see market value. You can see cost basis. I haven't filled out all the information. I need to update that for our first payers. All that was shifted since I moved all this info over from our other tracker spreadsheet when I did all the weeklies together. But let's look at the total dividends paid out from each of these. YMAG, 36.62. YMAX, 38.50. Two the highest payers so far, but the reasoning is I've held these for the longest as well, for a lot longer than a few of the others, months even. LFGY 25.50, climbing and gaining on the other two despite being fairly new. Then we have GPTY with 14.42, SDTY 11.53, RDTY 9.11, QDTY 9.82. So these two have been solid. They actually would be higher than SDTY, I believe, but I bought them quite a bit later. CHPY as well, $9.80. I have only been paid out, a couple of weeks worth from this one. So this thing is paying out very nicely. And ULTY, $22.91. Absolutely amazing. I'm really pumped with this account, and let me know if you guys are still liking this split format going by just the ETF providers. I will be doing a follow-up at the end of every month tracking our best performing weekly dividend ETFs, and I have some big things coming for you guys that I think you're really going to love if you like YieldMax ETFs, weekly dividend ETFs, and everything in between. So before I go, I want to say thank you so much for all the support. Don't forget to like and to subscribe. And if you liked this video, check out these ones popping up on your screen right now. ULTY being one of those. I really think you're going to enjoy it. And if you don't like that one, check out the Roundhill Weekly Pay ETFs because they've been making some serious cash. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video.